everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I hope everybody understands that today is, again, another one of these slightly different webinars. This is really more intended for brokers, team leaders, people who are running real estate organizations as opposed to individual agents. In this case, if you're an individual agent, you may get some value from today, but this is very much going to be intended to speak to brokerages that are trying to attract agents to their brokerage, right? So obviously, if you're a team leader, a lot of the same techniques and strategies certainly could apply, but that's who we're talking to today. And I'm going to lean on you, Jeff, a fair amount, because I think you've done, you have a much more accurate understanding of having done this stuff, right? I mean, obviously we both use video quite a bit, and I've used it to recruit, but you have about 100 people on your team at this point, and I think people would rather hear from you at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start off with this, and then I'm gonna start asking Jeff some questions and kind of get him going. First thing I want you to understand is that at this point, video is unavoidable. All right, I think that when we first got into the pandemic, which is right around the time that we started business video school, video was still sort of optional. And in my opinion, and I'm sure Jeff's opinion, it wasn't really optional at that time either. It was always heading in this direction, but if it was optional, then the pandemic ended that aspect, right? I mean, we're at a point now where almost every single person in the United States has gotten used to being on camera to some degree. And I think, in my opinion, that's accelerated this process by probably 3 to 5 years. I mean, I think if we had not gone through the pandemic and everybody hadn't been forced to get on Zoom, maybe we would still be sort of in this transitional period. But in my opinion, we're here now, all right? Most people have made some kind of video content, even if it is just talking to their webcam on a Zoom call. And that means that they're going to start to expect video content. In fact, if you look at people under the age of, I kind of argue under the age of 40 even at this point, they are expecting this from businesses. If you're going to consider working with a company, especially if you're going to take that massive risk of transitioning from one brokerage to another and completely upending what you're doing in your business to some degree, you're going to want to know about the business you're coming over to. And so you're going to have to start putting video in front of those agents, because that is what people are starting to expect. They're going to research you. They're going to check out your social media accounts, your website, and they will expect to see video content. And that is now what you're competing against. If you don't have that kind of content, they are going to be comparing you to the businesses that do. And I really do believe that this is where we're at this point, right? So I just want to start there, kind of set the expectations. And I think, this is where I want Jeff to sort of take things over a little bit, because we want to talk today about differentiating yourself. And so, Jeff, I know this is something you talk on a lot. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you mean by differentiating yourself?
Well, gosh, now differentiation, by and large, if you really look at the grand scheme of things in real estate and brokerages, differentiation means being consistent and just putting out video. Because I think most of you who are on here today can probably look in the mirror. There's probably a handful that can say, I'm doing a lot of it. And there's probably a lot of you that says, yeah, you're talking to me. And so when I started doing video, and Nick mentioned that we've grown a massive team, and he's right. And so for those of you who are in my shoes, you're in a leadership role. I have gotten to the point where our business, it's like I turned on the spigot and it's now jammed and I can't shut it off. Like, that's literally what's happening to the growth of our business right now. It's absolutely insane. Our biggest problem is keeping up with the business. It's the scaling part operationally and whatnot. And most of you can understand what that pain probably feels like. And it all started for me by doing video. And it was about 5 or 6 years ago. So as we go through this, I'll probably mention this a few times, like anything that you're doing when it comes to video and social media, it's a longer game. But if you do it consistently over time, you will become known. And I'll even give some examples today, Nick, of like a video we just did in California recently. And it is going to land us one really strong referral partner and one very big LO. And all I did was create a video and put it out there organically. I didn't even target it, didn't put any money behind it. It was that simple. And that's what I have now built. And I think what we're going to basically be teaching today.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. So before we move on, one thing I want people to understand here is that there is sort of two aspects to using video to attract agents. And there's lots of strategies and all that. But in my mind, there's kind of two parts to this. One is your brokerage using video, right? Like, are you communicating through video? Are you putting out content? Obviously, Jeff's going to give you some awesome ideas around how to do that and what to talk about and how to have a strategy of creating content that attracts, right? But there is a really significant other side to this, and that is which brokerages are teaching their agents how to use video, right? So there is the one backer, obviously lead by example, you're making content, but there's the other part of teaching people how to do it. And I will say, I do think they are separated just a little bit. Now, obviously agents are going to they're going to expect a brokerage where they see a lot of video happening to probably teach them to do it. But there is a possibility here that you could be teaching your agents while you're also learning how to do this yourself and finding the right education partners, bringing in the right people. Maybe that means partnering with a company like us, right? We'd love to talk to you, but it could also mean finding local influencer agents, maybe even agents that aren't currently part of your brokerage to come in and provide some of this education, because that's another way to differentiate yourself, is to recognize that this is a change that's happening and start teaching to it, right? And if you're providing that education, that's also going to be a big measurement that agents are going to have. And remember, if you're going to do this stuff, you're going to put the content out, and then these agents start reaching out to you, they're going to want to know how you're going to teach them to do it too. And so having a plan for that, having even, I would say, a whole platform, a whole series of trainings, and video is complex. There's a lot going on there, and being ready for that is going to be a big part of this as well as we move forward. All right. I feel like Vanessa always gives me these kind of slides and I say it before I get there. And then I'm like, I just repeat what I said 30 seconds ago, but there we go. All right. So this is the 3 strategies that we're going to focus on for you today. And like I said, I'm going to be mostly kind of picking Jeff's brain here, but we want to talk about number 1 would be showing how your brokerage makes them more money, right? So using video content in a way that helps you show agents how you're able to help them grow their business, right? That's what they're ultimately all looking for. And that's one aspect you can focus on here. Another one is to show off your brokerage innovation and culture, right? So maybe you're not focused on yourself as much, but there are ways to make video content that's going to help people understand what it's like to work in your company, right? What does it feel like? What are the innovative aspects to it? What makes you different from a business standpoint, from a company standpoint, right? That's one of the differences between being an individual agent and being a broker, is that when you're a broker, it's not just you, right? It's this massive group of people in a lot of cases, and there's a culture and a sort of set of things and circumstances that come with that. And so it's not just your personal brand. There is an additional layer to this. And so that is a big part of when we talk about this with brokers versus agents. We're not only focused on the personal brand. That is important, but there's this additional brand that your entire company represents, right? And so that's the second strategy. And the third one here would be showing how your brokerage has a presence that is growing and is influential in the area. And I know a lot of agents have the opinion at this point that the brokerage and the brand of the brokerage has been, the importance of that has kind of been diminished over time, right? Most agents feel like, hey, I'm the brand. People are going to work with me because of me. Well, this is your chance to sort of start to flip that script back in your favor to some degree, right? In the same way that agents have been able to really use social media and all these modern communication tools to build their own personal brand and remove themselves from needing to have a powerful brand in the brokerage they work at, you can actually start to bring that back, right? You can start to show how your brokerage is influential in your community, the impact that it's having, the relationships it's building, and you can actually start to make your brand more important to the agents that are working with you. And that's another really powerful strategy that you can implement here. So we're going to go over these one at a time. We got a couple other things to cover after we do these, but I do want to make sure we dive into each of these a little bit further. So Jeff, let's talk about this first one. I mean, showing how your brokerage helps agents make more money, right? I mean, obviously you could come out and just sort of make a bunch of videos and say, hey, we'll help you make more money and, brag about, some of the numbers and stuff. But what would you do, right? What would your approach be here if you wanted to take this strategy on?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many different ways. And I'm actually going to digress for just a second. And actually, if you go back to the previous slide real quick, I want to point this out to everybody who's on this. I assume that you're obviously in some sort of a leadership role. You have some benefit to bringing value. This is the key words here: bringing value to your agents and to the people that want to come join you. And look at that word that goes right down the middle there. That's something that is completely lost on our industry by and large. And myself, coming from the mortgage space, it's easy for me because I've studied your business. So all of you sitting here on this Zoom and those of you watching this on Facebook, I study your business because my strategy is to be as good or better than you. And that's because I put myself in your shoes. And so you as a leader, innovation is the key. And this goes back to the whole differentiation conversation, which is if you are leading your brokerage with traditional tactics, which everybody's teaching, like door knocking, calling expireds and prospecting and all this traditional stuff, that's fine. And it's all useful, but it doesn't separate you. How many brokerages can I go out to tomorrow and say they're actually truly innovating? They're teaching their agents how to do video. They're teaching them how to build a brand on social media. They're teaching them all of these things that are next level, that are coming down the pipe. This is the kind of stuff that will differentiate you if you are truly an innovator. And that's the way I feel like you need to look at this, because that innovation creates opportunity. And for all of you who are here, it starts with you. It 1,000,000% starts with you. And this is where I'm the living, breathing proof of this and why it works and why I attract and why I've grown so much. So going forward to that next slide is it starts with that innovation. So just an example, and I'll get into how you can make money, but one of the comments that I get all the time from people that want to join our team is that I see you, I feel like I know you, and I feel like I can leverage your brand and your influence to grow my business. And that is powerful. Imagine if agents start saying that's about you. It doesn't have to be on a national level, just on a local level. And by that means that you essentially now become the rainmaker. And now my people, my loan officers, in your case, your agents, they want to emulate what you've built. And so what that means is now you can walk these agents down the line of, okay, let's start with one-to-one video. Let's start with putting some practices in place that is going to differentiate you from every other agent in your market. For example, when you're prospecting, when you're talking to potential leads, or you're talking to potential sellers or buyers, and you firing off emails and you're giving it to them in a video communication and you're showing your tonality and your personality, the customer gets to know you. That's a game changer. It's the most simplistic thing in the entire world. But if you actually, if you're the one that introduces them to that and you give them the platform to do that, you watch the response they will get. I can tell you, my LOs will reach out to me all the time and say, they'll forward me an email from a customer saying how amazing they've never received email communication with a video in it, and how appreciative they are and how they're choosing to go with them because they explained it, blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff matters. Or building into your automation where over the course of a transaction, you're firing off videos because maybe you help them produce some fun little green screen videos that say, congratulations, you're under contract. Congratulations, the appraisal's in. Congratulations, you're clear to close. Congratulations on your 1-year home anniversary. And you have this stuff set up for automation. This is how you start to churn more business. This is how agents can't miss on what they should be doing with their database. And you're helping set this up through video communication. Now we could take it a whole nother step further, and you can actually help them build a brand with video by becoming the digital mayor of a local community. You hear this all the time. And I'm telling you folks, people just maybe to a degree they're doing it, but even us, Nick and I are in St. Louis, Missouri, a pretty big market. And I cannot think of one realtor or loan officer in my market that has consistently over time built a strategy and stuck with it. And so I've gotten to the point where I'm actually starting one right now called the Starving St. Louis. And it's going to be a series where I interview restaurants and I lift up the community. And I'm only doing it to prove a point. And all I'm going to do is raise up my own digital celebrity. The opportunity exists for all of you in every single one of your markets, whether it's in a micro community or a larger community, of just going out and propping up community leaders, propping up community businesses. And you're doing all of this through video. And just to give you guys an example of what I'm going to do, and there is a reason behind it. It's not just a personal vendetta to prove people that it works. I'm also going to always have a co-host on every show. So eventually that's going to be one of my loan officers. Eventually that's going to be some of our realtors. And essentially I'm going to I'm going to pave the path and then prop them up, allow them to be the co-host, gain some popularity, gain some confidence in front of the camera. And before you know it, I'll pass this whole thing off to a few people on my team and let them run with it. think about the loyalty that I'm going to create. I know what I'm building is going to have power. And then when I help prop these people up and make them local famous, get them comfortable in front of the camera and help lift up their brand, imagine what that's doing for the loyalty and the stay power that they're going to have with my company. And so those are just a few examples. Nick, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted me to touch on, but I'll shut up for a second.
Well, we have a couple other strategies to talk about as well. And I think one of the points that Jeff's making, I think is important to reinforce here is, what we're showing you on the screen here, that this is how you demonstrate to your audience that you can help agents make more money, right? Which is a very compelling message to share. However, there's sort of two parts of this. One is that if you just make videos right now, showing your community, showing the agents in your market, how you can help them make more money, for now, that probably to some degree will work, right? Because of what Jeff said, which is the fact that hardly anybody has a video presence in a meaningful way, right? It's a lot of experimentation, a lot of people trying things here and there, but there's not many that have done it consistently. So you can be promotional for a brief period of time and get results, right? However, if that's the only kind of content you put out there over time, it is going to start to feel like an ad, because it is an ad, and people get, sick of ads, right? We get sick of seeing commercials. And so you do need to make sure you're incorporating all these other things that Jeff's talking about, which is really building this presence in the local community or whatever it might be, right? There's a whole bunch of different personal branding strategies that you can try, but you got to have both, right? So keep that in mind. I mean, obviously, and obviously Jeff's talking about it, so hopefully you're getting what he's saying and also what we're showing you on the screen. But there are two components, right? You got to make sure that you're showing value that isn't just for the purposes of recruiting. And then when you come in with your recruiting videos, they're going to feel acceptable, right? In fact, people, if you do this correctly, they're excited to see your promotional videos, right? That's what happens with, like, Jeff doesn't hardly even do promotional videos. I think of all the things you are dealing with, Jeff, it seems like that's the one you have the most challenge with, is being promotional, right? Telling people that they should work with you. But because of what you've done, it works so well, right? Because people are reaching out on their own. And that's what starts to happen, is people start to like you so much. They start to be, and it's called a parasocial relationship, right? It's a one-sided relationship. They literally know, like, and trust you like you're a friend to them. That's how they feel about you. And that's the point when they reach out. So you can imagine if you have these agents that have been seeing all this content, they like you, and they're starting to think organically, man, it'd be really cool if I could work with this person. And then you show them the videos about how you help agents make more money, and you have a call to action that says, hey, schedule an appointment, let's talk further. That stuff kills it, right? So you do need to warm up the market as much as you can. There are some short-term wins, but if you focus on that period of sort of warming things up and sharing some value, you're going to get, probably 5 to 10 times the results from this. All right, cool. So that's strategy number one. Let's talk about strategy number two, which is to talk about your brokerage innovation and culture. So I'm curious, Jeff, if, this is obviously your team's using a lot of video. Do you do much on this side of things in terms of sort of showing what it's like to work with that team?
Well, we do it in a non-salesy way.
Okay.
And so again, anybody who knows me knows that I have to force myself to talk about mortgages, because frankly, if you've heard me speak before, you've heard me say this, nobody's opening up emails, any of the social media apps, none of them thinking to themselves, ooh, I'm going to go to Facebook and search for home today. Ooh, I'm going to go to Instagram and see what the latest news on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are. Said no one ever, right? They're going there for mindless content. So give them what they want, right? And so when it comes to us showing off innovation and culture, we do that through creativity. And I can give you a couple of examples. So anytime somebody new joins us, we always do some form of a parody introduction. We just have fun with it. We did one, we had a loan officer join us in Washington, D.C., and we did it as an interrogation. And it was it was a production. We had a videographer, and we invested in this, and it was really cool. It had entertainment value. And it was a roundabout way of announcing we've opened an office in Washington, D.C. And then we did another one recently, the one that I was just talking about, when we just opened offices in California. And so we were out there. And so what I did was I hired a videographer to follow us around for 2 days, paid him $500 a day to follow us around for 2 days and create a ton of B-roll. Now, I did that for two reasons. One, I wanted just to create a bunch of vlog style videos. Also, we were going to do a Baywatch parody. So we literally have a Baywatch parody coming out No women in bikinis, unfortunately. It was just a bunch of dudes. So that's kind of a disappointment, but it'll still be fun and entertaining. But we created, so the goal was to just have all this B-roll video to create a variety of vlog style videos to basically announce our presence in California. And so since we have a full-time videographer, he was just creating the B-roll, and it's going back to my videographer who's now going to create a bunch of stuff from it. But he wanted to show what he could do. So he created a vlog style, really sexy video for us. And I was like, oh, what the hell? I'm just going to go ahead and post this. And I announced it, basically all it was just that cool lifestyle like video. And I had a couple of lines go across the video. One of them is like, California, we see you. I forget exactly what it said. There was just 3 lines, and it basically said, we're here and we're just getting started. And that's the video that I posted. I tagged a few strategic people, and all organic, didn't pay for anything. One loan officer in Los Angeles reached out and said, and literally I posted this to my stories one day. He said, Jeff, I've been following you for the last 3 years. I need to make a move. I need to join your team. Boom, like winner right there. This is a $50 million producer. It's a grand slam. And it also is validation that people are watching you and you don't even realize it. And then there was another one. This is a realtor with a big brokerage out of San Diego. And she says, I need your help with marketing. I need to be doing what you're doing to sell my culture. And so again, I guess I'm taking this farther than you actually asked, but the point was, you see what it created. And all I did was just create content around kind of literally, what are we doing in California? We're having happy hours, we're having team meetings, we're meeting with people. And I just had a videographer follow us around. And it's so many people overthink this. And you think, well, I'm going to hire a videographer and I'm going to sit in a chair and I'm going to talk about why my brokerage is so great. Wrong. Like, that's selling. Nobody wants that. And I remember why they went to social media, or why they opened up their email, or why they opened up your text, because you're either entertaining them or you're educating them, or you're sharing your life with them. And that's kind of the whole point. So when I say that we show, that's what we do when we show off innovation and culture. Now, I do share things every once in a while and put little, but they're typically not videos. They're more like images, where I'll share a picture of a videographer shooting something for a loan officer or an agent, or we'll do a shot of a green screen and I'll put a little caption about how we help our people, obviously create content and stuff like that. And so those are the kind of things as a leader that you need to be dropping that stuff all the time, consistently, because agents in your market are watching. They may not be liking, they may not be commenting, they may not be sharing, they're watching. And the more consistent you are by putting this stuff out, the better the odds you're going to catch them on that day. Like I did this LO in LA. I caught him on the right day, and now he's going to come join our team. And all I did, and it cost me essentially $1,000. And frankly, that's not even why I did it. I'm sure we'll gain a lot more from that, but it's so incredibly powerful. Now, I think, Nick, another thing that you can do, like when I'm looking at this slide here, one of the things, and some of the obvious things that you can do is, you can do agent highlights. You can create a series where you highlight an agent and have them talk about themselves. It's you promoting it is no different than the digital mayor strategy. When you go out and promote businesses, you're now promoting your agent. You're giving them content that they can now take a 15-minute video, share it to the world, because everybody loves doing that. And then you could also, if you really want to overachieve, you can help them chop up that 15-minute video into micro content. So now they can share it to different places, to their stories, to TikTok, to Reels. There's so many different things that you can be doing to help these people promote themselves. That's what they want. It's like relationship skills 101, right? When you're building a relationship with somebody, what do? You make it all about them. If you walk into a conversation and you meet somebody and you start talking about yourself, you just crushed it right there. You ruined the opportunity. But if you start asking them questions and you show interest and you want to prop them up and you're interested in them, that's how you get their attention. That's how they grow that. That's how they start to like you, because they get to talk to you. And it's the same thing when it comes to promoting your agents and doing it through video. So I hope that was useful.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right. Moving on to number 3 strategy is to show how your brokerage has a presence that is growing and influential in the area. And I want to talk before I kick it back over to Jeff, because this is one area where Jeff and I don't know that we disagree on anything here, but we've sort of taken a different approach. And so this is sort of my time to talk about the way I did things, right? And that is consider running paid ads, right? I mean, this is where I think you can do a ton organically. I think doing those organic things is no brainer. Obviously, you know, Jeff's giving you tons of great advice there, but you can accelerate what you're doing with paid ads. Now, would I take the very first video you've ever made where you were uncomfortable and you don't feel great about it and put that in an ad? Not necessarily. So I don't know if this is a day one strategy, but it doesn't take long. And I will tell you, I have used this. So the reason I feel like this is applicable, because about 5 years ago, we were in the marketing world. We had a marketing business and we wanted to get into the real estate space. We wanted to start selling our services to real estate agents. And at that time, we were doing flyer delivery. So it had nothing to do with video. We were putting flyers on front doors. And we thought, hey, this would be a really, really effective way to do farming in certain neighborhoods, right? So we wanted to get in front of real estate agents. We had no presence in the real estate community. And the real estate community, from firsthand experience at this point, can be a little bit hard to break into. You know, there's sort of an attitude of, you know, hey, you got something to sell to me. I've never heard of you before. You know, you gotta earn your stripes before I'll even have a conversation with you. But that's okay, right? That's how it works. The real estate agents get sold to constantly. So I can understand that apprehension to deal with new salespeople. So what I said is, okay, I want this community to know, like, and trust me, right? I need this group of people to know who I am. I'm not a super great networker. I've gotten a lot better at it over the time, but ultimately, you know, I'm kind of introverted. I'm not a huge fan of, you know, going into these events and bumping shoulders with people. So I ironically sort of thought, well, hey, video is something I can do alone. I can literally record videos with no one else in the room. And then I can put those videos strategically in front of the people who I want to know, like, and trust me. And so that's what I did, right? I went on Facebook and I used Facebook ads. I targeted real estate agents in my community and I just taught them things. I talked about marketing strategy. I made little jokes. You know, I tried to be, you know, I tried to show my personality to whatever degree I could. And ultimately what happened is that I started to get recognized in that community. So now when I would go out to an event with a bunch of real estate agents, there would be a couple people who would recognize me and they'd come over and they'd want to talk and they'd want to know how I did what I did. And guess what? All of a sudden, the other people in the room were not as cold towards me, right? Because number one, I was known by some of them. So there's a shared trust factor. And number two, people were excited to talk to me. It wasn't just a matter of, oh, hey, you know, let's strike up a conversation. It was, oh, you're that video guy. In fact, I think I've been called, I don't know if you get that, Jeff, but I've been called the video guy more times than I can count. And that's such an incredible, powerful thing, right? Because now you walk into a room, you have a presence, you have awareness with these people, and there's actually, and this is true, a real meaningful relationship already exists, okay? So I do want to encourage you to look into that. Now, one thing I'll mention on the paid advertising side of this is that if you have a business page with the word real estate in it, right? Or if it says anything related to real estate or brokerage or anything like that, you may have trouble targeting real estate agents with Facebook ads in particular. The reason for that is that there are restrictions on real estate advertising on Facebook because of the Fair Housing Act, right? So Facebook had to really clamp down on what you are and are not allowed to do with their Facebook ads. And so what I'd recommend is if you're having that problem, maybe you should consider creating a personal brand Facebook page, right? So that would be just your name. It would be like an influencer type page. And that will allow you to run ads that will not be restricted by the real estate targeting. Because realistically, the targeting restrictions are meant specifically just for house advertising, right? So, hey, this house is for sale, or hey, we're going to help you buy a house, right? That kind of stuff you're not allowed to do. It really isn't supposed to apply to the recruiting of real estate agents. At least, you know, I'm not a lawyer, so that's just my interpretation. But so that means if you need to create a different page and use that as a recruiting tool, then that is something you can do. But you can also do this on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't have the same kind of restrictions as Facebook anyway, right? So if you want to get over on YouTube, that can be a great way to show ads to the right people. And there are a lot of YouTube channels that are geared towards real estate agents, right? They make content specifically for agents, and you can target your ads on those pages. So I did want to mention that for a few minutes, because I do think if you have the budget for it and you are ready to go in on this and you're going, yeah, I want to do this thing. I want to start making video. One of the most frustrating parts is if you're starting from scratch and you're going, you know, you're trying to do this organically, it takes time, right? You don't necessarily have an audience built in. It will take some time to build that audience. paid ads, if you can afford to do it, is an incredible way to jumpstart that process and get out in front of it, right? So that was just one thing I wanted to kind of talk on for a couple minutes, because I think it can be really powerful. But Jeff, obviously you have a slightly different take on these things. What would your approach be if you wanted to use this strategy?
So I'm not against paid ads. I just am fortunate that I haven't had to use it personally. Most of my stuff
Right.
is organic, but I do use it. And I'll just give you an example. And there's a million platforms out there. But again, I'm in your shoes. I'm in a parallel industry doing the exact same thing you're doing, trying to attract, trying to retain, trying to nurture, trying to do all these things, right? And so I have partnered with Grant Wise. So a lot of you know who that is. He's got a platform called Whitley. There's other ones, Travis Tom, there's Ylopo, there's, all these different platforms, but specifically to running Facebook ads, for example. And so the reason why I liked Grant's platform, Whitley, Travis Tom's is very similar. And again, there's many of them out there, is that they revolve around video and video retargeting. And so one, I like it for the video aspect. It forces my people to shoot video and build brand ads, which then also, by the way, becomes kind of a cultural event that we get to experience together, because usually I'm helping them create these ads. I'm talking them through it. I'm helping them script them, et cetera. And then what we do what I do is I will pay for, and this is just one idea, do with it what you will. I'll pay for the annual membership for like a Whitley. So I'm going to give you that example because that's what I'm using. And I pay for that, which gives me 10 accounts in that platform. And he has different levels, right, of cost. And then my loan officers, my salespeople, are responsible for obviously creating the videos, which I help them do. And then they are responsible for the ad spend. So there's some accountability, right? You want them to have some skin in the game. And so this is just one way that I provide value. So even though I don't do it, I realize the value in it with targeting and retargeting. I've just been fortunate because I've been doing it for so long that essentially I'm doing that organically on my own. But for most, you're not going to have that ability. And so why not just go after it this way? Now, this also, if you are a broker owner or a team lead, it's also important that you have some pretty good systems in place that you can teach them, that you probably have a good backup CRM, that you have some good automation, because obviously most Facebook leads are going to be top of funnel leads. So it's a little bit longer term nurture. So you're completely wasting your time if anybody's getting in thinking it's going to be the equivalent of a Zillow lead, because it's not. But again, it's an exercise that covers several different angles, because you're helping them create videos. And by the way, these are evergreen type videos that they can just use on their own as well, because most of the videos are introductory videos. Usually it's the first video is an introductory video. The second video is an educational video. The third video is like a testimonial type video. And again, you can create as many as you want for your arsenal, but this is just a way for you to bring value to your agents. And so again, I know some team leads and brokers who have their own media people in their organization who do the ad running for them. If you are that size, if you're big enough to afford that, by all means do that. Or you can just contract it out to somebody else. But no, I totally believe in that. I think it's very important. I actually, Nick, and I think you know this, I'm about ready to employ this strategy. So as a leader, remember I told you about that California video. That's my goal. My goal is to create a multitude of funnel videos, culture type videos that display who we are and what we are in a non-salesy way. And then I'm going to have Whitley basically target and retarget to geographical areas. So we're going to obviously focus on the West Coast for our West Coast team. I've got a team in Wisconsin. We're going to focus on, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and so on. And, we'll do the same thing in various markets. And this, I'm doing exactly what you want to be doing. In fact, I'm going to be targeting your agents in some cases, because that's part of it. Part of it is I want your agents to see my mortgage teams and say, those guys are cool, I want to work with them. Or those guys had some real value, I want to work with them. And that's the name of the game. We're all basically doing the same thing. And I've just figured out how to do it really well. Luckily, I'll be honest, I'm very lucky. I just took a chance and the chance worked. And here we are. And now I get to be one of those video influencers, but I'm still very much in the game. And I'm telling you guys that the most important thing I can tell you from today is, there's probably a way to do this, but probably not as effectively. If you're not leading by example, you're probably not going to get as much out of this as if you weren't, right? So if you go stand in front of your group at your next team meeting and saying, here we go, guys, I want you guys doing video. And if one person in that room is thinking to themselves, but Jeff, you're not doing video, like you completely lose credibility. And so it starts with you. And and like Nick said in the very beginning, even learning along the way with them. I mean, talk about building a strong culture and family feel. I mean, that's arguably even better, to learn with them, because you're exposing yourself, you're showing vulnerability, and they're going to love that. And so for those of you that seriously want to take this to another level, I highly encourage it. Whether you're doing it already and you want to lift them up, or you're not doing it at all and you want to learn side by side with them, either way, I think will have a massive impact on your business. And let's be honest, if you're at XYZ Realty and ABC Realty down the street starts to implement video at a high level, you're going to start to feel a little threatened. So why don't you get out ahead of that? Why don't you beat ABC to the punch and start implementing this in your brokerage? And maybe you then can nab some of those ABC agents versus vice versa, right? And so this, I mean, as you guys can tell, I'm insanely passionate about this topic, and I'm passionate about it because of the impact it's had on my life and my business, and the impact that it continues to have. So I hope we can recreate this for many of you.
Awesome. Jeff, if you, for some reason I can't open the Q&A when I have slides pulled up. It looks like there may have been a question in there if you want to open that up. So one other part of this I wanted to talk about for a couple minutes here is to think about this like a funnel, right? And I think that just getting started, just starting to make video content, a lot of times that is a pretty significant step. And I wouldn't really worry about this until after you've started making some content, get your first 10 videos done or so, and then you can be a little bit more strategic. But there is a tool that is really powerful here, and we're still not quite sure how impacted this approach is going to be based on the iOS update that messed with retargeting abilities, obviously. So this may diminish over time, but for now, this still does seem to be working pretty effectively. And basically, that's the idea of showing people videos in a specific order, right? So you create video content that's actually designed to be seen in a particular series. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to pull people through the entire funnel process without ever having to do anything manually, right? So awareness is your first stage. That's where people maybe, agents in your community literally just have never heard of your brokerage, right? Like that's kind of the awareness stage, is just introducing yourself to them, providing, entertaining stuff, motivational content, that sort of thing. Then you move into consideration, which is somebody has gotten to know who you are a little bit. Now they're starting to think, oh, hey, I've been watching these videos for a while. That this company seems pretty cool. Maybe I should be thinking about switching over to them, right? Now, that's where you want to start to show the testimonials, show the success stories, the stuff that is a little bit more promotional. It starts to really differentiate you, but it's still informational, right? It's still value driven. You're still trying to provide something, teach somebody something, or show them something about what it is you're doing. And what you can do with the ad targeting, and you can do this on both Facebook and YouTube, is you show them the videos in this order. So they see an awareness video, which is maybe a sort of introduction thing, or one of those cultural videos like the vlog type stuff Jeff was talking about doing. That would be first. Then a couple of days later, now they start to see a testimonial or two, right? They start to hear stuff that's a little bit more promotional about your brokerage. And then after a couple more days, they move into conversion stage. And that's where they start to get the really aggressive stuff, right? The invitation to maybe events, or an offer to schedule an appointment, or something where you're basically trying to get them into a conversation so that you can actually recruit them. And what's so cool about this, and this is somewhat high level, so you're going to probably need some professional help to execute on it. Either talk to the person you use for your existing ads inside of your brokerage, or if you want to reach out to a partner. Obviously, this is stuff that we teach on a little bit inside of Business Video School, and obviously we'd be happy to have a meeting and show you how to do it. But this is really cool, right? So if you can show videos in an order, and they're guaranteed to be shown the videos in that order, right? You don't want them to see the invite to the event before they've ever heard of you before, because that feels really promotional. You want that to show up once they've gotten to know you. So that's one thing to look into. On Facebook, you're just going to want to create custom audiences based on video views. So if you want to write that down, you look to custom audiences, and you create the audience based on video views. You create one on the first video, and then you show the second video to that audience. You create one on the second video, you show the third video to that audience, so on and so forth. Or on YouTube, they actually have a particular ad that will allow you to create a video series, so an advertising series. So look for that on YouTube ads if you're going that route. And that's a really cool way to make sure you stay in front of the same people until they actually contact you. And then once this is built out, it just runs, right? You don't have to worry about it ever again. I mean, you're going to want to refresh things every so often. But that is a really nice thing to have is you spend maybe a day or two creating some content, get these ads set up, and then walk away. And over the coming months, you just start to have people reaching out to you on a consistent basis. It will take a lot of the stress out of the process here. All right, another part of this would be one-to-one. So Jeff, I wanted you to talk on this because obviously I think one of the challenges we all have is the amount of time we have available to do these sorts of things. Now, if it was me or you, we'd probably both argue you should always be putting as much time as you can into video because the return on that time is pretty positive, right? But what is the balance here, right? So you talked a lot about sort of the more public facing content strategy. What about one-to-one video? How would you incorporate that into the recruiting process?
This kind of goes back to practicing what you preach. So before I even talk about the recruiting process, I'm talking about the nurture. I'm talking about internally. And so if you're not putting out internal communication via video occasionally, you're kind of a hypocrite. And that's what you need to be doing. I use it all the time. And so, and sometimes I type emails, sometimes I send videos. Sometimes I will literally stop and send personalized messages for happy birthday or happy 4th of July or whatever. It's just, I'll mix it up and sprinkle things in again, to show them that they're important to me. That's the biggest deal. That's the nurture piece. The recruiting is the obvious. It's the same thing that I described earlier when your agent is sending a video to a customer and the customer is blown away. It's the same general concept in that when you're reaching out to that recruit, when you're reaching out to somebody that you just met at an event, or you're following up, and nobody wants to read a 2 or 3 paragraph email, but when you can display that tonality and that emotion in a video, text, or email, it sets you apart. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that sets us apart. We're looking at something that will show them that we are that innovative brand that they need. Because at the end of the day, why are they making a move? Because they're not getting what they want from their current brokerage. So that's what you have to give them. And there's no better way to display that than sending that one-to-one video message to them when you're communicating with them in any form or fashion, to be honest with you, whether it's an initial reach out or whether it is, you're just doing a follow-up. In fact, I just did a call yesterday with Street Text. Some of you probably have heard of that. We're friends with them here, and we were just talking. They're building out a mortgage piece to this, and because I have such a big brand, they usually reach out to me asking to pick my brain and have us test it. And he was talking about how Street Text is like another platform where you're running lead ads, right? And they teach their agents who are in their platform to send bomb videos to their leads. And it's just a way that will surprise the lead on the other end with a very authentic message that will stand above the typical automated text that fires off. And so, these are the kind of things that video one-to-one messaging needs to be absolutely unequivocally a piece of your brokerage, a piece of your team. You need to invest in a bomb type software to provide to your agents. Whether you want to charge them for it or not is up to you, but it needs to be in the arsenal. 1,000,000%. If it's not already, get it in there.
Love it. All right. So a couple options here in terms of how do you send these one-to-one messages. And I know Jeff was just talking about bomb. I'm just going to give you a quick overview on a few different approaches you can take here. If you want the free approach, you can record a video and upload it to YouTube. And you can put it up as an unlisted video. That means that no one can see it unless they have the link to it. That's a really manual approach. It does work. It is free, but it is going to take a bunch of time that I don't think you have. So you can also do the same thing with Dropbox or Google Drive. However, the next two options I think are much more viable from a time perspective. Those would be messenger apps. So the only challenge with the messenger apps, I love messenger apps for video sharing. They actually, all three of these that you see on the screen here, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, within the app itself have a video recording button. You just open the camera from the messenger. And again, you have to do this on your phone, and then you can hit record, and you can record, I think in most cases, up to a 20-second message. So it is fairly short. They also allow you to upload videos to the messenger. But again, there are restrictions on how large those files can be, right? Now, messenger apps are great because they do tend to get opened, right? We're not getting so many messages on these platforms yet that we're ignoring the messages we're getting, like we might with our emails. But that may happen in the future. But I would imagine for the next couple of years, most of the messages you send through those three platforms will get opened. So that is a significant advantage of using those. And then finally, you've got your paid options, right? So you've got your BombBomb, Dub, Loom, Co-Video. Real Estate Nexus has a tool in their platform, marketing platform, that does a lot of this stuff. So you got a bunch of different options. Those are, the one we use and we can definitely attest to is BombBomb. BombBomb's great, super convenient. There's an app on your phone. There's a plugin on Chrome. There's a plugin for Gmail itself. So if you use Gmail to send emails, you can literally just push a button inside of your email. Your video recorder pops up. You deliver your message, and you're good to go. You hit send and you're done, right? So I like BombBomb personally. I think it's the most streamlined of the ones that I've worked with, but it's a personal preference type thing. You can get a BombBomb account for $30 a month, right? So you just get the tool, you start using it, you'll be used to using it in just a few days. And the benefit too with something like BombBomb that is this easy to get used to using is that you're going to start to find other places to use it. You're going to start to find yourself recording videos, updating people on your staff about things that you need to get done, right? You're going to find yourself sending videos to, family members maybe, right? Like there's all kinds of situations where you're going to start to find yourself using this equipment and these tools that you may not even think about yet. And what we're finding, at least in our own business, is the more we transition to using video as a form of communication, the more efficient we're becoming. We're actually saving time and getting more done because we're communicating through video. And the reason is just that video is a more effective form of communication, right? So that's another sort of secondary benefit, I think, of getting used to using the one-to-one video tools. All right, so I think that kind of sums up, and we're right on time here, about 10 minutes left, which is usually close to when we wrap up. That sort of sums up a couple ideas on strategies for you. Now, obviously, you could hear from Jeff talking about this, that there's a lot of different things you can do here. The most important being that you need to take action immediately, right? There's really no time left to sit on this any longer. Whether or not that is you going yourself personally all in on a video strategy, or if it's going all in on teaching your agents how to do this, obviously we're going to recommend that you do both of those at the same time. And I will say that I do think it's easiest to do both of those at the same time, right? Because if you're going to encourage your agents to do it, and then you're going to use that as accountability for yourself to get started, what's going to hold you more accountable than that, right? That's probably the best possible scenario to really push yourself to take action on this. And so I'm not going to dwell on this for too long, but I did want to mention to everybody here that we recently developed a version of Business Video School for brokerages, right? So this is something that we've been working on for quite a while. We've been going through a beta period, and we are starting to open the doors just a little bit. So we're not promoting this publicly. This is something we only really wanted to talk about in a few cases. So we are sharing a little bit of insider information here with you today. But what we do in this program is we basically give you an unlimited number of seats for all of your agents, including you, including any of your support staff, and we'll even let you put some of the people you're trying to recruit into the school, right? Up to you. You can use it how you want, but you do get unlimited seats for your brokerage. And what we're going to give you is literally everything you need to implement video in your business. We're going to give you the real estate video roadmap, which is a series of 8 different courses. I believe there's something close to 40 total hours of content. Here's the thing. Your agents should not watch all of it, especially at the beginning. In fact, all of these courses will take somebody from I've never made a video in my life all the way to the point where, hey, I've got a YouTube channel and I'm doing millions of dollars of business as a result of it. That is quite a journey, all right? That's why we call it the real estate video roadmap, because it's quite an involved long-term process. All you need to do is get them to take the first course, right? The first course is 5 classes followed by 3 labs. It teaches them how to send video messages from just their phone that will get listings, all right? We have a strategy that we've been using. We have case studies on this stuff. It absolutely works, and it's going to get your agents to start taking action with video that actually shows a return on on that effort very quickly. All right. So that's the first thing that we really encourage you to get your agents to do if they're a part of the program. And then from there, let them take the courses when they want. One of the cool things about Business Video School is they can take them through our online platform, and you can also host them in your brokerage. So you can schedule our courses as part of your overall training, have your agents come in, take it as a community. There's a homework assignment with most of the trainings. It's something we make people do something that would be useful in their business. So if they're making a video or if they're editing a video, it's something that they could post if they're ready to do so. And then get your people together and have them do this stuff together. I mentioned those 3 labs, right? They do 5 trainings, then 3 labs. The 3 labs are them actually coming in and making videos. We sit there for an hour and we say, okay, here's some instructions, set a goal for the next 50 minutes, go make videos. And at the end, you're going to come back and report in on what you got done, right? You just have to facilitate. And actually, I would encourage you, if you're not doing video, just become a student with them, right? Participate. They're going to be that much more bought in as a result. Now, a few other things, and I don't need to dwell on all this too long here, but video recipes. These are scripts and step-by-step instructions for making videos. What we do is we give you an example video. It's us making our own version of the video. We give you the script for the video. We give you instructions on how to shoot the video, how to edit the video, how to take the script and put it in a teleprompter app and record it with just a phone. We even write the Facebook post for you and your agents, right? So all they have to do is copy that, tweak it if they want to, and put it on Facebook with the video, and they're done. It's the easiest possible process to make a video, and these are all real estate related. These are all videos that are meant specifically for real estate agents. That just doesn't exist anywhere else, right? You might be able to find some scripts. There's a lot of good scripts out there, but you're not going to have all of that. And what you can do is literally have your agents go through the first 5 classes, come to those labs, hand them the video recipes and say, hey, make this while you're sitting here today. So it's a very straightforward process, right? Now there's a whole bunch of other stuff. We got workshops, we have influencer case studies. We've done interviews with agents who are literally doing millions of dollars. I checked in with them. I believe one of the agents that we interviewed has already done about $1 million in GCI from YouTube this year alone. All right. There's another one that's on pace this year to hit that number by the end of the year, just from YouTube. All right. That's incredible. They're running a tens of millions of dollar real estate business just from YouTube. That doesn't even mention all the other places they get their business from. So we break down their strategy with these interviews. It's a really impactful thing to share with your agents. And then there's a few other things. We do monthly accountability challenges where we break up into different teams and we compete to see which team can make the most videos. It's a great way to keep your agents engaged and involved. And then a few other things that are included as well. So I just wanted to mention that for a couple minutes because I figured, hey, if we're going to be talking about, doing this for a brokerage, there might be a few brokers on here that might want a little bit of help. So one last thing that I will mention is that if you do get involved in the broker program with us, we are also going to help you individually, right? Now, this isn't something that's quite a formal part of this, but you really can't get access to me or Jeff or the rest of our team here in Business Video School directly, right? It's not like we don't even sell one-to-one coaching on this stuff. And it's just something that, we're not quite ready to do. However, for the brokers that come into this program, we are super invested in this being successful, right? This is something that's relatively new for us. And so this is also a way for you to be able to get access to me and Jeff, right? To be able to pick our brains, to be able to talk to us about the strategies that you personally should be using. And so that's not going to be the case forever, right? As this grows and we get busier and busier, we probably won't have the bandwidth for that in another year from now. But if you do get involved with us now, we're also going to be able to help you out with your personal strategy. So anyway, if you do want to talk to us about this, this is literally my personal phone number, right? So I just want you to send me a text and just send me your name, right? You can send me your name and the name of your brokerage. I'm going to assume if I got a text here in the next couple minutes that it was about this, right? Because I don't know why anybody else would text me their name in the next 5 minutes. But if you do text me, what I'll do is I'll get a meeting set up with you sometime in the next week or two. We'll talk about, what are we doing here in the brokerage program. I can give you a little bit of tour. I can show you some of the behind the scenes. You can check out our video library. You can see some examples, all that kind of great stuff. And we can talk about how we can make this a part of your brokerage. All right. So again, one last time, if you do want to talk about the brokerage program, send me a text at 636-541-7651. Just include your name and I will get back to you here shortly to get a meeting set up with you to talk more about this. All right. And I'll just put this back up on the screen. If you were curious, what all it includes again, here's what it includes. But obviously we can talk more on the details in our meeting.
And Nick, if I can add to this too, just so
course.
you guys know my involvement with this is Nick and I were connected because we were both video savants in our market, and we both had the same vision. My vision was, how can I bring video to more of the industry? How can I teach the agents that we work with? How can I teach loan officers how to do more of this? Because obviously my bandwidth is only so deep, right? And it's intense. There's a lot of things that you have to learn, but what we teach and what we've found, as most of you know, I'm now very, very well connected to really all the big names in the industry, and there's no other platform like this. And so for me, it was an easy decision to join what Nick and Vanessa and Mike were already building because of the passion for it. But I'm telling you right now, if I had this 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know where I would be right now. I had to learn all this stuff on my own. And I push this hard, and I pay for this for a bunch of RLOs, as Nick can attest. We've got people in our organization. In fact, Nick, even yesterday, because I'm on the email list, we got the video recipe for the week, and I forwarded it out to my entire team and said, guys, check this out. This is amazing. Like, who gets this? Who is teeing up a video for you that's industry related that you can put out to your sphere? You don't have to think about it. You just do it. It's absolutely incredible. And I don't say that I say this more because of the power that it will have for your business. So if you're a broker who intends to be in this business for another 10 years, if you're a broker or you're a team leader who truly wants to build your business, I'm happy to have a conversation with you on a personal level, because I'm telling you right now, it's an absolute game changer. And if you don't, that's okay. You're probably going to just have to swim a little bit harder up the stream than those of us who actually employ this. And again, I can speak from experience on that. So this is a fun one. I like this one. We should do more of this, Nick. This is right up my alley.
Absolutely, man. That's why I wanted you to talk on most of it.
By the way, there was a question, and Amber's still here, and I did answer it, but I wanted you to answer this as well on the Q&A. So Amber asked, any particular software that you recommend for video editing, adding intros, outros, bonus if it's an iOS? And my answer, Nick, so you know, was Business Video Skill teaches Filmora on the desktop and Viva Video for mobile, but there are other options. So maybe you can just speak a little bit to that, because I'm sure others might be interested as well.
Well, I mean, I'm going to second Viva Video. Viva Video is available on both iPhone and Android. So if you're an Android user and you were hoping for an answer to it, same thing, right? I haven't yet found an editor that does as much as Viva Video does. And I also am always just surprised at sort of how user-friendly it is. For the amount of things you can do with Viva Video, to use a desktop version of software that does the whole thing, that does all the same sorts of things, it is like 3 times more confusing. So I don't know what they did, but it is an incredible app, and I'm a huge advocate of Viva Video. So I don't even want to give you other options, because I just go get Viva Video, pay for the paid version. You definitely won't, as long as you make videos, you're not going to regret it, because it is super simple to use. But it does keyframing, which I'm not even going to get into what that is, but that's something you can usually only do on a computer. It does green screen. I mean, and these are the more advanced things it does. Obviously, there's all the graphics and the sound editing and all that kind of stuff. So Viva Video is amazing. On the computer, I mean, I think I like Filmora. I think there's Premiere Pro, there's Final Cut. Those are going to be really popular, but they are higher end and they are going to be a little bit more to learn. But if you're just getting started, I think on the computer, Filmora is a really good one. So Wondershare, WONDER, share, SHARE. Filmora is film, FILMORA. Anytime I try to spell things on these webinars, I can never spell, but that's how you spell it out, right? So if you want to check that one out, highly recommend that one on the computer.
Perfect. Awesome.
Cool. Well, we are at the end of our time here, so I think we're going to get running, but thank you everybody for joining. I have had a bunch of texts come through already, so I'll continue to take a look at those and follow up. And if you did text me, I will be in touch here in the next few, probably either later on today, because I got another meeting. I'm literally getting a call right now, or sometime tomorrow morning, and we'll get you set up. So thanks so much for reaching out.
See you guys.
All right. Talk to you later.